He happens to be an 11-time Pro Bowl receiver, one of the greatest to ever do it. Larry Fitzgerald is on the show. Larry, what's going on, man? Where are you at? How you doing?
Doing better than I deserve. Just out here, just fanboying over a great start to the season. It's been a lot of fun to see some of these spectacular teams and players, just stepping up to the occasion. So it's been a really nice time.
I used to every July up in our shared hometown of Minneapolis, I used to track down wherever you were doing those workouts with your personal trainer. There'd be a bunch of NFL guys that would come in and throw with you. I keep thinking every time I'm driving around, one of these days I'm going to go by a park. Larry never announced his retirement. I keep thinking I'm just going to be driving by and all of a sudden see you out there training for a comeback.
No, you definitely going to see me out there training, but I will be on the pickleball court. I'm at the local parks all the time. So if you want to come out there and get smacked up, I'll be more than happy to dish out some of that.
So you're a dominant pickleball player is what you're telling me.
I wouldn't go on record and say dominant. I said I'll be you. That's what I said.
Well, that's a really low bar. You're a Hall of Fame caliber athlete. I am barely allowed to sit in this chair on occasion. But all right, Larry, a lot I want to get into with you here. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the news of the day. You played against Robert Saleh's defenses. I'm sure you know Aaron Rodgers will. Just the idea of a head coach being fired in week 5. You've seen that team play. What were your immediate reactions?
Yeah, I mean, in a game that you normally don't get surprised by, this definitely was something I was surprised with, just in how early it was. This is not a bad football team by any stretch of the imagination. They played. Aaron Rodgers didn't play great against the Minnesota Vikings in that defense, but they made a lot of teams look pedestrian. I mean, you look at, they made life very difficult for Jordan Love when he came back. I mean, I don't know if C.J. Stroud's had a worse game, this year or last year than he had against the Minnesota Vikings. So, I mean, this is a team that's really good. So to be able to judge all of that off of one performance, I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. You never see a team really get better too often when you make a coaching decision like this. I just think it's a bit premature.
How does Aaron Rodgers get going? Again, you've seen him enough through the years. I know you never played against him literally. He's not a defensive player, but you've seen him at his best. What is still in there for Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, he's the most accurate thrower of the football over the course of his career. So what happened last week was a bit of abomination. They just need to get back to playing, the ball that he's capable of playing. I mean, they lost a tough game in the rain last week to the Denver Broncos, which really hurt. You would love to see him win that game, but it was a sloppy game. They haven't gotten just blown out, right? They haven't gotten beat, handily in any game. They're in there in the competition. He has 2 really good receivers. Bryce Hall is fabulous back. I mean, I just think that they just need to be able to put it together. And Aaron just needs to get a little bit more comfortable. I know, he missed all the last season, and so he's just kind of working off the rust from taking a year off. And I think he still has a lot of juice in the tank personally.
You mentioned, the Vikings have taken it to everybody. I was at that game against the Texans, and you would think that they were playing one of the worst teams in the league, not a team that looks like they're an AFC contender. You're a former Vikings ball boy as well. What is your level of surprise at the Vikings being one of the two remaining unbeaten teams, along with the 2-time defending Chiefs?
See, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you would have asked me earlier, I would have never guessed this. You look at the guys that they lost. On the offensive side, you look at the guys they lost on the defensive side. You look at Darnold's history and the places that he's done. He's never had this type of level of success. There were so many indicators that would say that the Vikings wouldn't be in this position. Plus, in my opinion, they're in the strongest division in football. I mean, you look at the Packers, what they were accomplished last year. You look at the Detroit Lions, what they were able to accomplish. You look at all the additions that the Chicago Bears have made offensively, defensively with the weapons they had. So, beginning of the year, I thought they would be the 4th best team in their division, and lo and behold, they're the best team. But we've only gotten through 5 games, and this is a marathon, not a sprint. But right now, they definitely look like the best team in the NFC.
So one of the other big news items that's tied to the Jets as well, Davante Adams going through a situation where obviously he's gone to the Raiders and said he prefers to move on. He would love to be back with one of his buddies, Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, although Carr got beat up and Aaron Rodgers' head coach was fired a couple of hours ago here. Knowing Davante, seeing him play throughout the course of his career, where do you think is the best spot, and what do you make of this situation overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're 30 years old, I mean, you're kind of assessing your career. You've made a bunch of money, you've achieved all of personal accolades. I think he's definitely in the conversation to be a Hall of Famer. You want to be able to go out and have a chance to win. And if I'm looking around the landscape of places where I could be a really good player in a great system, you got to look at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they played against the Houston Texans. In that first half, Josh just couldn't find continuity with anybody. He's had that safety blanket as Stephon Diggs for a long time. They've had the best, in terms of quarterback to receiver numbers over the last 5 years than anybody in the game. He needs that dominant guy again, and Davante will provide that from day one. And there's another team that people probably wouldn't say because of the way they're constructed, but the Baltimore Ravens, man, you put him on that team, knowing that there's going to be 8 men in the box every single snap to take Lamar and King Henry away, and you give him one-on-one coverage, I like that. I like that. That bodes well for them. And so, I know he probably might not like the way that system runs, but he's going to be one-on-one and have plenty of opportunity to make plays the way he's always made throughout his career. So those are the two teams. If I was looking at the landscape, where I would possibly try to position myself to get to.
Rich said it when he joined the show earlier here. If he's Lamar Jackson this morning, he's on the phone right now with Davante Adams going, listen, you got chaos in both these places you want to be. Just come over. Come over to Baltimore. We'll find a way to get you going. Speaking of receivers, obviously you played in Arizona for a long time, greatest player that's ever come through that building. There's a guy now, I'm not going to say he's Larry Fitzgerald, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is something else to watch. When I went through there in training camp, it's just everything looks so smooth and natural with the way that his body moves. Obviously, he's had some remarkable highlights here. When you watch Marvin Harrison Jr., what do you see?
I see poise. I see a guy where the moments are never, too large for him. I mean, the way he runs his routes, the way he approaches the game. I got a chance to meet him last Friday for the first time, and it's really struck me just how calm he was, and just like a very sensible person. And that bodes well for you as an athlete when you're playing in an arena where things are going crazy, and he's able just to be able to be calm and go through his progression. So I'm really excited about him. And it's not surprising, his father is one of the greatest players that ever played a game, so he got a chance to see at a really young age what it's supposed to look like, understanding of the game. And so when he's out there making plays, there's no surprises.
You made him for the first time last Friday. He strikes me in my limited interaction with him as a bit of a soft-spoken type of guy. Like what if anything did he want to know? What did he ask Larry Fitzgerald?
No, we didn't really have a chance to talk. He came over to my son's game. My son and him have actually built a relationship with each other, and so it was actually my first time getting a chance to meet him. We didn't have really a chance to really talk or have much of a conversation, but hopefully, down the road in the off season, I'll be able to talk with him. But there's not much that I could ever give him in terms of advice. I mean, he's got a dad who's, had a better career than me, won a championship. I mean, so if he needs to get advice, all he has to do is call home.
That's a great point. That is a rare type of a advantage. TJ Jefferson's got one for you here.
Hey, Larry, how you doing, brother?
I'm good.
Good, bro. You're mentioning learning from greatness, and as most people know, maybe some don't. You spent time as a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings as a teenager. So my question to you is, what did you learn from working with legends like Cris Carter and Randy Moss that helped you become the Hall of Famer that you are? And is there any advice that you can just pass on to that young wide receiver who's going to be watching this clip today?
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much, TJ. It was unbelievable to be able to see the competitiveness of those great receivers, and seeing Cris Carter, go to Deep River Falls and play against the Kansas City Chiefs, going against Dale Carter and James Hastings, and seeing Todd Stussy blocking Derek
Thomas.
Derek Thomas, and seeing Big Willie Rowe blocking John Randall, and seeing that just competitive energy every single day, man. It was just contagious. And Randy Moss is taking it over the top of guys. I love the competition. And it really just showed me at 12, 13, 14 years old, what's required. If you want to be great, this is how you got to compete. This is how you got to approach the game every single day from a mental perspective. And when competition stands in front of you, you got to run through it, go around it. And I really appreciated those experiences. It let me learn at a young age, this is the mentality you have to have.
That brings me to a question I wanted to ask you, Larry, because obviously you've got some of the most memorable catches that we've seen in the NFL all the way into a Super Bowl. If you're thinking about the greatest catch or catches you've ever seen someone not named Larry Fitzgerald make, who and what are those catches?
I would say the most iconic would probably be like David Tyree, when he pinned that ball on his head. Lynn Swan's goal ball back in the day that he made was unbelievable. Um, I would say Julian Edelman made a catch against Atlanta Falcons in that second half where the ball got tipped and he reached out and grabbed it with his right hand, and I still don't know how he made that play. Julio Jones made a toe tap catch on that sideline on the third down and about 12. Matt Ryan put it under only where he could get it, and he climbed the ladder and got his feet down. I mean, there's so many catches that I could think of that come to mind. San Antonio's catch against us in the Super Bowl was crazy. Like I've seen a lot of them, and I mean those kind of just jump out to me top of mind. I know I'm missing a bunch, but those few were really spectacular.
Larry, you're here on behalf of DraftKings today. Tell me what you got going on.
Well, I'm honored to be able to partner with DraftKings again. DraftKings serves as an annual Pink'em campaign, and we're raising money for breast cancer. Over the last 5 years, they've donated $500,000 to my foundation. It's a free play to pool. It's offered from week 5 to week 9 to commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 20,000 free entries, and $1 from each of those entries is going to be utilized to raise the money for the foundation. And it's honored that that an organization like DraftKings would stand behind us. I lost my mother to breast cancer years ago, and I've had a lot of people in my family. My executive directors have breast cancer, so many people around me have been affected adversely from this disease. And it's really cool that people stand behind you as you kind of raise awareness for it.
My wife has been affected by breast cancer as well, so appreciate all the great work that you're doing in that area, Larry. Thanks a lot, man, for the time. Enjoy everything you got going on right now.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to see you, fellow Minnesotan, and give your wife a hug for me.
I will, and I will not see you on the pickleball court, man. Thank you.
Oh man, don't run from the smoke. Don't run from the smoke.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.